Hello again, everybody. I'm Roger Hoover. Glad to welcome you back to the Crimson Tide Sports Network. And it's time to talk some Alabama volleyball with Lindsey Devine live. And it's brought to you by Alabama One Credit Union, a proud partner of Crimson Tide Women's Athletics. And we're joined now by Coach Devine from her office. And Coach, first of all, congratulations on Alabama's first victory of the season. What'd you see from your team this past weekend in Athens, Georgia?
Well, we saw a production by so many players on that first night. Aaliyah Wells continues to come into each one of our matches and really does so great on her execution, both offensively and defensively. Abby is, again, really understanding her role. We're giving her a lot of balls, probably needed to give her a few more balls in match two, but her range, her shot selection is continuing to show her experience. And then we had, Riley again running our attack distribution. So I thought that she did a solid job. And Madeline St. Germain was solid in the back row along with Kaylee. So lots of great production by multiple people in that first night. And also, somebody that we have to mention is Kennedy McElroy in that first night. So we just got to figure out that consistency, stringing it from night one to night two.
And we talked a lot last week about the focus of practice and really focusing on the fundamentals and making sure you're having clean passes and things like that. Did that carry over into the matches this weekend?
Again, if we look at each match separately, first night was solid on our serve reception. I believe as a team, out of a 3-point passing system, we passed a 2-4-5, which is really, really good. That means we were in system a lot, and you were able to see the numbers there with Aaliyah. So that's great. And then from the service line, that was another focus that we had talked about last week. Again, in that first match, we came back on that service line with the confidence. We were able to hit those targets that we wanted to. Really created some chaos for Georgia. And so, again, I really love that carryover that we implemented from practice. So just a few more things we have to clean up. And this team is continuing to evolve. I love how they're growing.
And you got to love as well, even though Sunday getting swept in that match, all of the sets were played in the 20s. So your team was right there. Just what are you seeing from some of those late set situations right now?
Well, I see that we have a fight, but we're digging ourselves a little bit of a hole. And so it's putting a lot of added pressure on ourselves. So we talked as a team about the mental maturity of being able to prepare from match one, make the adjustments that we need to, and implement the good things. Remember those good things into match two, but know that an opponent is going to make some adjustments. So on match two, Georgia went back on that service line, and they brought in that confident serve. So our passing kind of went down on that second match, which then again influenced our ability to be in system, to run the attack patterns that we wanted. So lots to learn, but just still we have to be able to execute from night one to night two.
And what do you like about the depth of your team right now? I know on match two you got to have the debut of Emily along with Victoria. Just how are you seeing them grow and gain some opportunities?
Well, I think because this is a year where we do have some really solid depth, as you said, from player to player. And I think, the experience that they can get from practice is nothing like compare what they're going to get into the game. So I feel, the utmost confidence in all of our players to be able to come in off the bench, give some rest to some players, but also for the players that are coming in to get that experience. So Emily Yannick comes in, her one of her strengths is obviously her setting, but in this role, she was able to put up some good block. So we love that she understands that that's part of her role. And then Vic, coming in, understanding the speed of the game. And again, you try to emulate it in your own practices, but it's so different when it comes into the game. So we needed for her to understand what it will take to be confident and play at this level in the SEC. So she got that experience on that second match.
Well, can you already believe we're getting ready for the fourth week of the season, and it's almost over? I mean, it's almost felt like 3 games as opposed to what we've seen the 6 games at this point. Just how's it felt from a coaching perspective?
Like you, we went for the extended preseason that went on forever. And then, as you said, we're almost done the first part, which again, thinking of, part 1, part 2, fall season and a spring season. So, we've all had to kind of change our mental approach to this. And I think it's going to be a great upcoming 2 matches that we'll have against LSU. But it will be a really good opportunity for our players to reflect back on what we've learned in this fall season, and then come out with, just that mental approach to, again, finish strong in the spring matches.
Yeah, what can you tell us about LSU? They're 2-2 on the year. They would have played last week against Ole Miss, but there have been some COVID issues on the Rebels team. What can you tell us about LSU heading into this weekend?
Well, they have Taylor Bannister, who is a phenomenal player. Excuse me. She plays, on the opposite side. Aggressive, her strengths, she's tall, she sees the court. So again, we did a really great job last year minimizing her. So I know that LSU really has an entire focus and gives her a lot of the ball. So we have to manage her, but there are other people on that LSU roster that, their setter really does a great job at distributing the ball. She's a little undersized, jumps so well, and plays with such calmness when she's out there. And then they have an outside that is a freshman, and she, good ball control, played a lot of beach, and so she's able to attack the ball with a lot of range. So they got some great things, but really, Roger, it comes back to us. We got to be able to, once that ball crosses the net, we got to be able to execute and implement the small things that we talk about all the time in practice.
Well, like we talked about last week, just what's the focus of practice getting ready for these 2 matches coming up on Saturday and Sunday?
We got to get really comfortable with when the set isn't perfect. Ideally, our setters really, really work hard. Riley's working so hard to give the best ball possible for our attackers. But nobody's perfect. And so we have to, as our pins have to understand, we got to make that adjustment with our feet in order to get a good, solid swing when everything isn't lined up completely how we want it to. So getting better when the pass is off the net, and, being able to attack at that 12 feet area so that we can put that ball in play. So that's certainly one focus. The other part is just still keeping ourselves on that balance of our serve and pass game. As I said, we've really seen some great growth in that area, in those 2 areas. And then probably the last thing is just our hand positioning for our block. We got to use our eyes a little bit more so that our feet get to where they need to be, because our eyes tell us where that ball's coming, and then using our hands to put the ball back into play so that we can get some better touches on our opponent's swings.
Well, Coach Devine, just thank you for joining us in your time today, and best of luck this week in practice, and we can't wait to see the Crimson Tide at home at Foster Auditorium this week against LSU. Best of luck and Roll Tide.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Roll Tide.
All right, thanks to Coach Devine, and thanks to all of you for watching the Crimson Tide Sports Network.